Ladies and gentlemen, we're here. This is it. The one big beautiful bill has just passed the House, 215 to 214 vote. If you're not familiar with legislative processes, most bills must go through the House first, and then they go to the Senate, in which they pass. They will move on to the president's desk to be signed and passed into law. This is the first step of a three-step process. That last step is not going to be any issue at all, I can promise. But this, the second step, might be troublesome for this bill, and I hope it's as troublesome as it can be because this is horrifying. It's horrifying because it is a huge wealth transfer bill. That's all it is. It's tax cuts for the wealthy. Yes, we get nibbles there of assistance. So if you work overtime, there's no taxes on overtime, and there's no taxes on tips and stuff like that. So you get these little nibbles of assistance, these red herrings, while they also take away some of the most important and critical safety programs. Well, they're not taking them away, but they're gutting them, so that if you are ever at your most vulnerable, you're going to suffer horribly. And I have yet to figure out the reason this country is so okay with this, because I have witnessed the social safety net in the United States hurt and harm my mother, who's very close to me, even prior to these cuts. And to know that more people are going to suffer needlessly is it hurts. It hurts to know that. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this program. Well, this bill. Oh, yes, it is called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. That is its name. So when we talk about how the horrible things are going to happen to people, we get to call it the One Big Beautiful Bill. That's horrible. That's actually horrible. I'm sorry. It really... I want to talk about Medicaid cuts, because this is what I'm most concerned about. That's what I'm scared of for people. Damn, see, it bothers me. It really, I don't see how we as a country can allow this. What is Medicaid? So Medicaid is the health insurance, government-funded health insurance program for individuals who are under the federal poverty guidelines and are generally disabled. There's two states. There's Medicaid expansion states and there's non-Medicaid expansion states. In the non-Medicaid expansion states, Medicaid is mostly a requirement for individuals who are disabled or have children. So you cannot get approved for Medicaid based on income alone. In Medicaid expansion states, income is a viable reason to get onto Medicaid, and it can either be through employment or unemployment. So we're seeing changes to Medicaid and imposing work requirements for able-bodied adults without children and frequent eligibility checks. So what does that mean? It makes it harder for people to get on Medicaid. And I want to talk about a population of individuals who would benefit from Medicaid more than anyone, and who these cuts are going to be detrimental to. And that's those who are seeking SSI. Because disability is so broken in this country, supplemental security income, because it takes people 3 attempts who have a disability, who can't work without pain or illness or whatever, because it takes 3 attempts in this country, on average, to get approved, with each one taking 8 months or longer to get approved, means people struggle to work without the necessary tools to survive. And within non-Medicaid expansion states, people are stuck in a limbo position where they cannot get health insurance to cover the disability that is causing them not to be able to work, but they also can't get the assistance and benefit from not being able to work. So they sit there and they suffer and they hope that someone in the family takes care of them. They hope that someone is there for them, or they go homeless. That's horrific. That's horrible. So now that population is only expanded because it's requiring work requirements in states that have expanded their Medicaid programs, which only means that more people don't get health insurance and they suffer. And guess what? Oh, you think you're fine because you don't rely on these entitlement programs? You live in a rural area with a low, a relatively low earning hospital, like I do? You know what happens when Medicaid's not expanded? You know people continue to get sick when they have health insurance or not, or when they work and they don't. You know, working doesn't stop you from getting sick. And you know what? When these kind of programs are cut or they're not expanded upon, people present to the hospital anyway. People present sick. They present ill, and guess what? They need treatment, and guess what? That hospital doesn't get any money for that treatment. They can try to go after the person, but guess what? If they're not working and they don't even have health insurance, what money do you think they're going to give to the hospital when they try to claw it back? Oh, there's nothing. Oh, also, bankruptcy is one of the leading causes of, medical debt is one of the leading causes of bankruptcy in this country as well. I forget about that. So, what... There's these loops and trends and patterns that will continue to happen. You'll put people in more debt. You'll put people, in a position in which they just needed a little bit of time to recover from a mental or physical illness or whatever, and they now don't have health insurance. And then, it bounds into these hospitals who are now getting patients who continue to need care but don't have a payment source, who now are closing their doors or reducing services. And guess what? You got that great health insurance program? That's wonderful, but it doesn't matter if they can't make money from other people who need care. We fail to recognize there are people in this country that just need help sometimes. The pull it up by your bootstraps attitude doesn't work for everything. And I've seen it not work for everything. So it hurts when we continue to just devastate people like this. And that's just one part. Of course, we've got cuts to the Affordable Care Act as well. You work for a small business who doesn't provide health insurance. Wow. He spent all of 2016 and beyond trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act. You work for a small business. Do we not like small businesses? I've heard some people say that if you can't afford to provide insurance to your employees, you shouldn't be a business at all. I don't agree with that sentiment. I don't agree with that statement. There's a lot of great ideas in small businesses that are wonderful. But we just universal health care would be the solution to everything here. We've gone the wrong direction, the complete wrong direction. This country is marching. And you know what? These kind of cuts, these kind of things, people are already struggling. We've just had one of the largest taxes imposed upon us. That's tariffs. Of course, we can get by that rhetorically by saying that, it's not a tax on individuals. No, this is a poverty tax. Of course, this is a free market capitalist society. They're not going to eat, are you a capitalist? Do you eat, these people who proclaim to be pro-free markets don't even understand the own logic of the system that they support. The free market system requires an ever-extending kind of growth of a corporation company and increase in profit for that system. Are they just going to eat taxes for fun? It's insane. It's insane. And so consumer sentiment continues to drop. People can't afford anything. No one has a savings account. Debt increases. They're already paying significant interest rate on debt they couldn't afford by purchasing property or vehicles in the midst of the COVID pandemic. People are struggling. And we're now going to take away the little bit of you're under the Affordable Care Act. Now, you might be under a certain circumstance in which you now don't qualify. You're going to have to pay for your own health. Stupid stuff. we're walking into an economic disaster. But hey, you can't act shocked because he said he was going to do all of this. We can't act shocked. So, with that being said, that's it. I just wanted to cover. I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about that specific population that's just going to get decimated under this kind of policy. So, I appreciate everyone's time. I'm sorry. I really hope the best for this. That this bill has some of the most. Call your representatives. Just call them. Tell them how this is going to affect you. Good luck, everyone. I appreciate your time. Thank you, and goodbye.